this a good thing for Intel?
It's a lifesaver. They were on an unclear path before the government decided to renegotiate its deal. Let's not forget, the U.S. government already had a deal with Intel. We're going to give you $6 billion, and we're going to get a colored profit share down the line. What this administration is doing is just renegotiating the deal. It's saying that's not good enough. We want to take an equity stake. And by the way, Intel is different because part of this deal is a big Department of Defense component. Let's not forget, we're going to want Intel to manufacture chips for our F-35s and other important weapon systems. So the government has a different type of relationship, for instance, than it does with TSMC, where we're just talking about making chips for data centers. So the government renegotiated the deal. And now when it's done that, it's not a coincidence that Lip-Bu Tan can go to his friend Masa-san and say, okay, this is the time for SoftBank to invest as well, and maybe line up some ARM demand for those 14A chips down the line.
I'm so interested in the ARM architecture side of this. How do you see these working hand in hand going forward? How more cemented could a relationship become?
Well, clearly it could be part of the deal. And more importantly for Intel, as of a week ago, they had no customers for the 14A architecture, and they said they may not even proceed with it. Now they might have one lined up. Let's not forget the Department of Defense is a customer. That's now more likely to be lined up for that. And then they can go and talk to the other companies. And even if the government doesn't go ahead and twist some arms, let's not forget, NVIDIA's committed $500 billion of investment in the US. So can President Trump call Jensen Huang and say, hey, this is part of how I want to see the investment play out. I need for you to be a customer of 14A. That's not inconceivable at this point. Again, remember, this is national security. So the rules of the games change once we say this is national security.
Rules of the game are often blurred by frenemy lines, Gil. And what's so interesting is Masa has had a long-term relationship with the CEO of NVIDIA, of course, Jensen Huang, but also in some ways wants to build a competing architecture in some ways, wants to take on NVIDIA in terms of AI chips. Could he do that with Intel's help?
It's one way for him to participate in an even more broad fashion in the growth of AI, which he's doing now. He regrets selling NVIDIA when he did. He's buying some of it back, but he's also making a set of other investments in AI infrastructure. Let's not forget Stargate is probably the flag bearer of his effort, combining with OpenAI and Oracle to build, again, at least $100 billion worth of data center capacity. And for that, it would make sense to diversify and not only buy NVIDIA chips. Now, that's going to take a while. NVIDIA not only has a lead, but continues to extend its lead every year. But it does make sense for him and for other companies to try to diversify away from NVIDIA.
What's interesting is Howard Lutnick, the Commerce Secretary, had said, look, we confirmed that we're looking at taking an equity stake, didn't say how much, but it wouldn't be with a governance role. Now, more broadly, how are you starting to analyze companies that are getting closer and closer to the US government, and how much, well, is it interference or is it positive help that is being led by a US government here?
Well, the U.S. government has an ability to give preferential treatment to some of these companies, to change the rules of the road, and it wants equity participation when it does that. And again, it's not doing it broadly; it's doing it when it's a matter of national security. Let's not forget, it's already very involved with NVIDIA. It's limiting their chip sales to China. It's already very involved with OpenAI. This may be quiet, but it's pretty safe to assume the Department of Defense gets briefs from OpenAI very frequently about where the models are. So the government is involved because it's national security. In Intel's case, it's a matter of, if this is this century's nuclear arsenal, we need somebody to make the shell casings domestically. We can't have a Taiwanese company and a Korean company make our shell casings for our nuclear arsenal. So in Intel's case, it's a much deeper involvement. And I wouldn't be surprised if there is input into where the investments go, what the governance is, even if it's not explicit.